You can buy a beautiful home in East County, San Diego, and still end up regretting the purchase. I spent most of my life in East County. It's where I grew up, I built my career, and I raised my family. I love this place. But loving East County also means knowing its differences. A home in La Mesa is not the same experience as a home in Santee. A property in the hills of Alpine is not the same as one in a neighborhood near the center of El Cajon. And sometimes the home that looks like the best deal on the day that you buy it can become the home that you wish you had looked at way more carefully. If you're thinking about buying a home in East County, don't just focus on whether you can afford the house. Look at whether the house makes sense for the life that you're building. And if you're deciding between the difference of East County communities, the differences can matter a lot more than you might expect. So I want to walk you through some of the things that I would want you to think about before you made that decision. The house may be affordable. The home ownership may not be. One of the easiest mistakes to make in focusing too heavily on the mortgage payment. The mortgage is only one piece of the cost. You have property taxes, insurance, maintenance, utilities, and possibly HOA fees. And with many of the older homes that you'll find throughout East County, maintenance can become a much bigger part of the equation over time. You also have to be prepared for things like aging roof, older HVAC systems, or an unexpected plumbing problem. Those costs can come up when you least expect them. There's a California-specific cost buyers need to understand. When you purchase a property, it is generally reassessed based on the new purchase price. So the seller's current property tax bill may look very different from what you'll eventually pay. You may also receive a supplemental property tax bill after you purchase the home. Before you make an offer, I would have those numbers worked out based on what you're actually going to own, not just the mortgage, the property taxes, the insurance, the maintenance, the HOA, if there is one, and some room for the unexpected. That way, you're making a decision based on the full picture and you have more control over your finances in the future. The mortgage, it's only part of that decision. What matters is understanding the full financial picture before you commit to buying the home. You bought the house without really knowing the house. This is where emotion can really get in the way. You walk into a home with a beautiful kitchen, fresh paint, updated floors, great landscaping. Everything looks finished. But some of the most expensive problems in a home aren't visible during a showing. That is why inspections are so important. Not because every inspection is going to uncover a disaster. It won't. It's because you want to understand the condition of the property before you make one of the largest financial commitments of your life. And this becomes even more important when you're looking at an older East County property or a home that has been heavily remodeled. A renovation can tell you what the owner chose to update. It doesn't necessarily tell you what's left untouched. A beautifully remodeled kitchen, for example, doesn't tell you whether the roof is nearing the end of its life or whether the original plumbing is still in place. The home needs work. The purchase price is only the beginning of the calculation. You need to look at the renovation cost, the likely unexpected expenses, and the time involved. That $800,000 home that needs $150,000 worth of work isn't automatically a better value than the $900,000 home that's already in good condition. The right comparison is the total investment. Before you get too attached to a property, I would like you to understand what you're actually buying. Get the inspections, review what has been replaced and what hasn't. And if the home needs work, get realistic numbers before deciding to lower the purchase price to make it a better deal. A beautiful remodel can make a home look finished without making the home fully updated. What you can see during a showing is only part of what you're buying. The right comparison is the total investment, not just the price on the listing. You bought the right city, but the wrong location. This is one of the biggest reasons I think buyers need to slow down in East County. East County is not one market. Each community has its own market and its own lifestyle. La Mesa has walkable areas and other established neighborhoods. Santee has a different suburban feel. El Cajon has its own mix of neighborhoods, housing, and commercial areas. Lakeside and Alpine can offer more space and more rural settings, but that comes with a different relationship to commuting, services, and the surrounding environment, actually. Even within the same community, the experience can change from one neighborhood to the next. A home can be beautiful and still be wrong for the way that you live. Maybe the commute is longer than expected. Maybe you're further from the services that you use every single week. Maybe the traffic and surrounding activity becomes more than something you anticipated. And for the properties near hillside, canyons, open space, or heavier vegetation, the wildfire exposure and insurance deserve a serious attention before you become emotionally attached to a property. I would check the current fire hazard information, get the insurance quote in advance, and understand the deductible and exactly what the policy covers. And I would do this early in the process before the property becomes the one. Insurance is one of those things I would want you to understand before you make an offer. The city name is only the start. The specific street, location, surrounding environment, and daily routine can change the entire experience of owning that home. The part that buyers often realize way too late, that regret usually only doesn't happen because a house suddenly becomes a bad house. It happens when the reality of owning a home just doesn't match what the buyer expected. The payment feels manageable, but the ongoing expenses are higher than expected. The house looks finished, but the repairs start showing up. The neighborhood seemed perfect, but the commute or traffic or day-to-day routine becomes frustrating. And sometimes the property itself isn't the problem. It's the buyer that didn't leave enough room in the budget for everything that comes with owning it. That's why it's important to look at the full picture before you buy. Slow down, at least enough to look past the excitement of getting the key. Think about what the home actually will cost, what it may require, and how well it fits you the way that you live. That means looking at the monthly cost, the condition, the property, the location, the maintenance, the insurance, and whether the home really fits your life. You don't need to predict everything that could happen. You just need to understand what you're committing to. Because a successful home purchase isn't simply finding the house you love. It's finding the home that you can realistically live with, financially and personally, long after the excitement of the purchase wears off. Before buying a home anywhere in East County, I would like you to look at 5 things: the complete cost of ownership, the actual condition of the property, the specific location, not just the city name, insurance and property specific costs, and whether the home can actually fit your life as your circumstances change. Because when you put all those pieces together, you're no longer just evaluating a house. You're evaluating the decision as a whole. The best purchase isn't simply the home you fall in love with. It's the home that still makes sense after all that excitement wears off. That is the East County test. Does the property make financial sense? Does the condition of the property, does the location of the property make sense? Does the insurance make sense? And does the home still make sense for your life that you're building? And if you answer yes, you're not just buying a house, you're making a decision that you can feel good about years from now. If this was helpful, subscribe for more East County real estate insights. I share new videos every single week. And if you have a question about buying or selling in East County, leave it in the comments. I read every single one of them and I'll reply to you personally. And I'm always interested in what people are asking. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.